If you've been trying to figure out which AI agent tool is actually worth your time in 2026, I'll save you the research. Most of them aren't. And the reason why is something almost nobody is talking about. Right now, everyone's telling you to add more tools, another automation platform, another AI assistant, another subscription that promises to save you 10 hours a week. And maybe it does. For one thing, one workflow, one problem. That's exactly why most of them won't last. See, the AI tool market in 2026 is flooded. There are hundreds of options, and most of them are built to solve one specific problem and stop there. So you end up with 5 different subscriptions, 5 different dashboards, and somehow you're still doing half the work yourself. The businesses that are actually pulling ahead aren't the one with the biggest AI stack. They're the ones who figured out that the tool doesn't matter as much as what you build with it. And that's exactly what this video is about. Not just which tool is worth using, but why it's worth using, and what it actually looks like when you use it the right way. By the end, you'll know exactly which tool that is, and why everything else is just noise. Now, if you want to master AI tools and learn how to build profitable SaaS apps, websites, AI agents, and mobile apps with AI, I've created a complete masterclass that shows you exactly how to do it step by step. This masterclass normally costs $499 to join, but since you're watching this video, you can join completely free. Check the link in the description to get free access to the masterclass and start building your AI-powered business today. Let's get into it. AI agent tools are everywhere right now. Every month, new startups are launching with tools that promise to handle one very specific task, whether that's writing emails, researching leads, summarizing meetings, automating support, or managing content. On the surface, a lot of them look useful. The problem is that many of these products are built on top of the same foundation models everyone else is using. That makes them easy to launch, but also easy to replace. If a company is basically wrapping an existing AI model around one narrow feature, it only takes one update from a major model provider to make that entire product feel unnecessary. The moment ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, or another frontier model adds the same capability natively, that separate tool loses most of its reason to exist. The bigger issue is that single-purpose tools create a new kind of dependency. They may solve one small problem well, but they also lock part of your workflow into a rigid system. So when your business changes, your process changes, or your clients need something slightly different, the tool usually can't move with you. You end up adding another subscription, then another, and before long your workflow is spread across a messy stack of disconnected apps. That's why so many businesses are starting to consolidate. The software bill is part of it, but the bigger headache is the admin work that comes with managing all those separate tools. Different logins, different permissions, different vendors, different data rules, and different integrations. At a certain point, the tools that were supposed to save time start creating more work. The real winner in this space probably won't be the best single AI agent for any one tiny use case. It will be the platform that lets you build whatever agent your business actually needs. A flexible system matters more than a fixed tool because your operations are always changing. One month you may need a sales agent, next you may need a research agent, a reporting agent, or an operations agent. The value comes from being able to build and adjust these workers quickly without rebuilding your entire software stack every time. Owning the workflow also matters. When your agents, instructions, data, and triggers live inside a system you control, you're building an asset around the way your business actually runs. Renting a collection of isolated apps leaves you exposed to price increases, product shutdowns, feature changes, and security issues you can't really control. Building your own system gives you more flexibility, more ownership, and a much better chance of keeping your workflow useful as AI keeps changing. There are really 3 levels to how people are using AI right now, and most businesses are still stuck in the first 2. The first level is what I'd call AI chat users. This is where almost everywhere starts. You open ChatGPT or Claude, ask a question, write an email, generate a piece of content, brainstorm ideas, or clean up a document. It's useful, but it's also the lowest leverage way to use AI because every output still depends on you giving it another prompt. The AI is helping, but the work still moves at your speed. It only runs when you open the chat box, explain the task, wait for the answer, and decide what happens next. The second level is AI tool users. This is where people start buying specialized products for specific tasks. One tool for writing, one tool for research, one tool for customer support, one tool for automation, one tool for data. This is more advanced than basic AI chat because some of the work can happen faster or more automatically. The problem is that each tool is still trapped inside its own system. You can only use it the way the vendor designed it, and once your workflow needs something slightly different, you either have to work around the limitation or buy another tool. Level 2 can look productive at first, but it gets messy over time. You may have more automation, but you also have more subscriptions, more dashboards, more data moving between apps, and more manual cleanup between each step. The tools are helping with pieces of the process, but they are not giving you one complete system. The third level is where this gets much more interesting. Level 3 is AI system building. This means creating custom workflows, building agents around specific outcomes, and owning the full process from beginning to end. At this level, AI is no longer just something you talk to when you need help. It becomes a set of digital workers that can run in the background, follow schedules, respond to triggers, access your files, update your databases, send messages, and move work forward without you needing to manually guide every step. This is where businesses are heading because it creates real leverage. A system builder can design an agent for sales, another for research, another for content, another for operations, and connect them to the files, tools, and communication channels the business already uses. The work is no longer limited to a single chat session or a single app. It becomes an operating system for the business. Most people haven't reached this level yet for one simple reason. For a long time, building this kind of setup required technical skills. You had to understand APIs, automation platforms, command line tools, Python frameworks, and all the small pieces needed to make different systems communicate with each other. For most business owners, creators, and small teams, that was too much friction. So they stayed between level 1 and level 2, using AI manually or stacking up more tools. The good news is that level 3 is becoming much easier to reach. Visual, no-code platforms are removing the developer barrier. Now you can build, test, and deploy these agents from one dashboard using plain language instructions. You can describe the workflow, connect the tools, define the outcome, and let the system handle the execution. The advantage in 2026 won't come from asking AI better questions. It will come from building AI systems that can actually carry out the work. The easiest way to waste time with AI agents is to build them around tasks that sound interesting but do not really move the business forward. A useful agent should be tied to something measurable. It should help bring in revenue, save time, reduce risk, improve decisions, or keep customers from leaving. If the agent cannot connect to one of those outcomes, it is probably just another tool dressed up as automation. Clients, teams, and business owners do not really care that an agent sounds advanced. They care about what it changes. Does it bring in more qualified leads? Does it save hours of research? Does it protect a revenue? Does it help the team make better decisions? The best agents are built around outcomes, not novelty. They solve a clear operational bottleneck and make one part of the business run better. One example is a competitor intelligence agent. Its job is to track competitors in the background, monitor pricing changes, watch product updates, and surface important shifts before they become obvious. If a competitor quietly lowers their prices, changes their offer, or launches something new, the agent can flag it early. That protects your margins and helps you respond before you start losing sales without knowing why. No one has to manually check competitor sites every day because the agent handles that tracking automatically. Another high-value agent is a lead generation agent. This one focuses on finding and qualifying prospects without forcing someone on the team to do manual research all day. It can capture inbound leads, compare them against your ideal buyer profile, score their intent, and route the best opportunities into your sales pipeline. The real value is speed. When a good lead comes in, the agent can respond and organize the information almost immediately, while low-quality leads are filtered out before they waste the team's time. A CEO agent is useful for a completely different reason. Instead of helping with sales or research, it gives leadership a daily view of the business. It can pull from internal sheets, review pipeline numbers, check performance, calculate changes, and deliver a clear briefing on revenue, operations, and anything that needs attention. That removes the need to manually build dashboards or compile reports every morning. More importantly, it gives decision makers a cleaner view of what is actually happening in the business. Then there is the content factory agent. This is the kind of agent that can take one topic and turn it into a full content package. It can research the idea, organize the key points, write a long-form script, and build a weekly distribution plan for different platforms. For a solo creator or small business, that can replace a lot of the work usually handled by a strategist, writer, and content manager. It keeps production moving without relying on a completely separate content team. A customer success agent is another strong example because it focuses on retention. It can monitor user behavior, look for drops in activity, flag customers who may be losing interest, and trigger follow-up actions before the account cancels. Most businesses deal with churn after the customer is already unhappy. An agent like this helps catch warning signs earlier, so the team can step in while there is still time to fix the problem. These agents matter because they map directly to the core parts of a serious business. Competitor intelligence protects market position. Lead generation supports revenue growth. A CEO agent improves visibility. A content agent keeps marketing consistent. A customer success agent helps protect recurring revenue. Together, they show what AI agents are actually useful for. The goal is not to build something impressive for the sake of it. The goal is to remove real bottlenecks and give the business more leverage without adding more manual work. Now we get to the actual test. It is one thing to say that businesses should stop collecting separate AI tools and start building custom agents. It is another thing to prove that one platform can actually handle completely different workflows at the same time. So for this part, the challenge is simple. Can one platform build agents for sales, research, content, and operations without needing 4 different tools, 4 different dashboards, and a messy stack of integrations holding everything together? To test that properly, we are going to build everything inside Base 44 using super agents. Each agent will have a different job, but they will all live inside the same workspace. The sales agent will handle inbound leads and follow-ups. The research agent will gather information and create reports. The content agent will turn a single topic into a full content package. The operations agent will monitor business data and send daily briefings. For the model, we're using Claude Opus 4.8 inside a Base 44. The reason this matters is because these agents are not doing simple one-step prompts. They need to follow instructions, work through multiple stages, connect to tools, organize information, and provide useful outputs without being manually guided through every move. A stronger reasoning model gives the whole setup a better foundation. This is also where the argument becomes more than an opinion. We're not talking about why tool overload is a problem. We're going to build the alternative directly on screen. If one platform can create agents across sales, research, content, and operations, then the point becomes obvious. You don't need a separate AI tool for every small task. You need one flexible system that can create the workers your business actually needs. Now let's see if Base 44 can handle all 4. Before we build the first agent, I want to lock in the model that will power everything. This only takes a minute, but it matters because these agents are going to do more than answer simple prompts. They will follow instructions, use connected tools, run workflows, and in some cases, operate in the background. For that kind of setup, I want the reasoning to stay consistent from the beginning. I'll start by going to app.base44.com. From the left side menu, I'll click Super Agents, then create a new super agent. Once the agent is open, I'll go to the left side menu and click Customize. Under the General tab, Base44 shows the AI model settings. There are two model options here. The first one is the chat model. This is the model the agent uses when I'm directly talking to it inside the chat, testing prompts, debugging instructions, or asking it to run something manually. The second one is the automated tasks model. This is the model the agent uses when it runs on its own, like when a scheduled task starts, a trigger fires, or a background workflow needs to execute without me actively guiding it. For this build, I'm going to set both of them to Claude Opus 4.8. I'll click the drop-down beside the chat model and change it from automatic to Opus 4.8. Then I'll do the same for the automated tasks model. The reason I'm doing this manually is control. Automatic mode can be useful, but for a workflow like this, I don't want the agent switching between models depending on the task. I want the same model handling the live conversation and the background automation. Since Claude Opus 4.8 is the strongest option available here, it gives the agents a better foundation for multi-step reasoning, following detailed instructions, and carrying out tool actions more accurately. After setting both models, I'll go back to the main super agent's workspace. Before building the first agent, I'll hover near the prompt panel and check the lower left corner of the input box. That area shows the active AI model. It should now display Opus 4.8. Now the workspace is ready. Claude is active for both chat and automated tasks, so every agent we build from here starts with the same consistent model setup. The first agent we're going to build is the sales agent. The goal here is simple. I want an agent that can watch my Gmail inbox for new leads, understand whether someone is actually qualified, create a personalized follow-up, and save the important details into Google Sheets. In a normal sales workflow, this is the kind of work an SDR or intake assistant would handle manually. Someone has to keep checking the inbox, separate real leads from random messages, look for the budget and the timeline, write a reply, then copy the details into a tracker. We're going to automate that first whole contact process inside one agent. I'll start by going to app.base44.com. From the left side menu, I'll click Super Agents, then create a new super agent. Once it opens, I'll rename it to Sales Agent by clicking the agent name in the upper left corner. Before adding the workflow, I'll go into Customize and make sure that both AI models are still set to Opus 4.8, just like we configured earlier. Next, I need to connect the tools this agent will use. I'll go to the Tools section on the left side menu, hover over Gmail, and click Connect. Base44 will ask me to sign into my Gmail account and approve access, so I'll authorize that. After Gmail is connected, I'll go back to the same Tools menu and connect Google Sheets as well. Gmail gives the agent access to incoming lead messages, and Google Sheets gives it a place to save the lead information in a structured format. Once we're back in the main super agent's chat window, I'll give the sales agent its core instructions. Again, the full prompt is shown on screen. The idea is to make the agent act like an automated sales assistant. It watches for new client leads in Gmail, pulls out the important details, checks whether the lead is qualified, drafts a professional response, and once all the needed information is complete, saves the lead summary into Google Sheets. After entering that, I'll click the arrow icon to submit it and save those instructions to the agent. Base44 may ask a few follow-up questions to clarify what kind of leads I want, what services the business offers, or how the responses should sound. I'll answer those based on the workflow I need, because those details help the agent qualify leads more accurately. Once the instructions are saved, I'll run a quick test before relying on it for real messages. In the prompt box, I'll answer the sample lead exactly like this. Simulate an incoming lead email from John Doe, john@example.com, asking for a new website, budget $15,000, launch in 2 months. Show how you detect this and create your personalized response, follow-up, and summary. After I send that, the agent should treat the message like a real inbound lead. It will pull out John's name, email, project request, budget, and timeline. Since the lead includes a clear website project, a $15,000 budget, and a 2-month launch window, the agent should mark it as qualified and create a professional follow-up response based on those details. While it runs, I'll watch the live execution log to make sure the agent is actually following the logic we gave it. The important part here is not just that it writes a decent email, it also needs to understand the qualification criteria, summarize the lead correctly, and prepare the information for Google Sheets. To check that part, I'll open a new tab and go to my connected Google Sheets account. From there, I'll open the tracking sheet being used by the integration. I should see a new row added for the sample lead, including John's contact details. I should see a new row added for the sample lead, including John's contact details, the qualification result or score, and a short summary of what he needs. That confirms the agent is not just generating text inside the chat, it is actually moving the lead into a usable sales tracker. This one agent replaces a surprisingly manual part of the sales process. It removes the need for someone to constantly refresh Gmail, filter out bad leads, check whether a prospect has a real budget and timeline, write the first response, and log everything into a spreadsheet. Since the agent can respond almost immediately, it also cuts down the delay between a lead coming in and the business following up. In a traditional sense, that work could easily take 10 to 15 hours a week, especially once lead volume starts growing. Here, the first contact workflow is running in the background from the same platform. Research is one of those workflows that looks simple until you actually have to do it properly. It's not just searching Google and grabbing the first few links. You have to find current information, avoid weak sources, compare data points, pull out what matters, and then turn all of that into a report someone can actually use. That is the bottleneck this next agent is built to remove. For this one, I'm going to create a research agent that works more like a market research analyst. I give it a topic or brief, and it handles the process from there. It searches the web, gathers current information, filters for stronger sources, organizes the findings, and publishes the final report directly into Google Docs. So rather than spending hours moving between search results, notes, and a blank document, the entire workflow runs from one request. I'll go back to app.base44.com, open Super Agents from the left side menu, and create a new Super Agent. Once the agent is created, I'll click the name in the upper left corner and rename it to Research Agent. Before adding the actual workflow, I'll open Customize and make sure the AI models are still set to Opus 4.8. Since this agent needs to handle source selection, synthesis, and structured writing, I want the stronger reasoning model active from the start. The setup for this agent is lighter than the sales agent because we only need one connected output tool. I'll go to Tools, hover over Google Docs, and click Connect. Then I'll sign into my Google account and grant the required permissions. Web Search will handle the research side, while Google Docs will be used for the final report. Now let's go back to the main Super Agent's chat window and give the agent its operating instructions. The full prompt is shown on screen, so you can pause and copy it there. In short, this prompt tells the agent to research a topic like a market research analyst, focus on credible sources, ignore weak content, organize the findings into a 4-part report, and send the finished document to Google Docs. After submitting that, the agent now has a clear research method. It knows what kinds of sources to prioritize, what kinds of sources to ignore, and how the final report should be structured. That matters because a research agent is only useful if it can separate random information from information that is actually worth using. To test the workflow, I'll give it a real topic. In the prompt box, let's enter. Execute a deep dive market research report on the state of autonomous B2B AI software applications in 2026. Once I send that, the agent starts working through the research process. On screen, I can watch the live execution log as it runs web searches, reviews source snippets, pulls together relevant market details, and prepares the report for Google Docs. The main thing I'm checking here is whether it can move through the whole chain without me guiding every step. I'm not collecting links manually, copying notes, or building the report structure myself. I gave it the outcome, and now the agent is handling the process. After it finishes, I'll open a new tab and go to my connected Google Docs workspace. There should be a newly created document labeled with a research topic. Inside, the report should already be broken into the 4 sections we asked for: executive summary, market headwinds, competitor opportunities, and strategic recommendations. It should also include clean formatting, important metrics or points highlighted where needed, and citation-linked URLs so the sources are easy to follow. This replaces a big chunk of what a market research analyst or junior strategy assistant would normally spend time doing. The manual version means searching across sources, checking credibility, extracting useful data, comparing competitor information, and formatting everything into a professional document. It can easily take 5 to 8 hours for one solid report. Here, the agent compresses that process into an automated run and sends the finished brief straight into Google Docs, ready for review. Content is one of the easiest workflows to underestimate because one idea rarely stays as one idea. A simple topic usually turns into research, hook development, scripting, visual planning, platform planning, and a release calendar. If you're doing all of that manually, you're probably jumping between a writing tool, a notes app, a planning sheet, and maybe a separate calendar. The content agent is built to take one topic and turn it into the full package from a single request. For this build, the agent is going to act like a content strategist, copywriter, and content manager in one workflow. It should create a research brief, write a long-form video script, include visual cues and on-screen text ideas, then organize a 4-week distribution calendar. Google Docs will handle the written assets, and Google Sheets will handle the calendar. Let's go back to app.base44.com. Open Super Agents from the left side menu and create a new Super Agent. Once the agent is created, we'll click the name in the upper left corner and rename it to Content Agent. Then we'll open Customize and confirm that the AI models are still set to Opus 4.8. So the agent still has the same model setup as the Sales Agent and Research Agent. Now, let's connect the tools. From the left side menu, we'll go to Tools, hover over Google Docs, and click Connect. We'll sign into the Google account and approve the permissions so the agent can create the written content package. After that, we'll go back to the Tools menu and connect Google Sheets as well. This gives the agent one place to write the brief and script, and another place to organize the release schedule. Once the tools are connected, we'll return to the main Super Agent's chat window and give the agent its content production instructions. Here's the prompt on screen and the idea is simple. We're telling the agent to take one content topic and build the full production package around it. That means a research brief, a complete video script with visual directions, and a 4-week posting calendar, with everything sent to the right Google Docs and Google Sheets files automatically. After submitting that, the agent has a clear production workflow. It knows the topic should become 3 separate deliverables: a research brief, a complete script, and a distribution calendar. That structure matters because content work can get messy very quickly when the research, writing, and planning stages are handled separately. To test it, let's click inside the prompt box and enter this exact request. Process the topic input: scalable system design versus SaaS tools pro. Build out the full content package brief, the long-form script, and the tracking spreadsheet calendar now. Once we send that, the agent starts processing the topic. On screen, we can watch the live running log as it breaks down the request, plans the content package, writes the documents, and triggers the connected Google tools to update the files. The important thing to check is whether the agent is only generating text in the chat or actually creating the assets in the right places. After the run finishes, let's open a new tab and check the Google Docs workspace. The finished files should be there, including the research brief and the long-form script. When we open the script, it should be organized for actual production, not just written as a plain article. It should include the spoken script, on-screen camera suggestions, visual cues, and timed storytelling markers so the content is easier to film or edit. Then we'll open another tab and go to Google Sheets. The tracking calendar should be filled out with a 4-week content plan, including release days, content topics, and target channels. At that point, the agent has taken one topic and turned it into a complete content workflow across both Docs and Sheets. For a small team, Content Agent is definitely useful. Content usually slows down because every stage depends on the previous one being finished manually. Someone has to research the idea, shape the hook, write the script, add production notes, and turn it into a posting plan. When one person is handling all of that, consistency becomes hard to maintain. This agent turns that messy production chain into one connected workflow. A single topic becomes a brief, a script, and a calendar without bouncing between different apps or waiting for each step to be rebuilt from scratch. That is the difference between occasionally creating content when there is time and having a system that can keep the pipeline moving every week. The final agent is for the part of the business that usually gets checked too late: operations. Sales might be coming in, projects might be moving, and dashboards might technically exist somewhere, but someone still has to open the files, scan the numbers, compare performance, notice what changed, and turn all of that into a useful update. The operations agent is built to handle that routine automatically, so the business gets a clear morning briefing without someone manually pulling reports together every day. For this setup, we're going to build an agent that can monitor business files inside Google Drive, review the spreadsheet data, look for performance issues, and send a structured briefing through Gmail. The goal is to have it check sales metrics, conversion numbers, pipeline status, and open project delivery states, then flag anything that needs attention. So if a metric drops more than 10% below target, or a project is blocked, it should show up in the briefing. Let's go back to app.base44.com. Open Super Agent from the left side menu and create a new Super Agent. Once it opens, we'll click the agent name in the upper left corner and rename it to Operations Agent. Then we'll go into Customize and confirm that both AI models are still set to Opus 4.8 because this agent needs to read data, compare numbers, identify anomalies, and summarize the results clearly. Now let's connect the tools. From the left side menu, we'll open Tools, hover over Gmail, and click Connect. After signing into the Gmail account and granting permissions, we'll go back to the Tools menu and connect Google Drive as well. Gmail will be used to send the executive briefing, while Google Drive will give the agent access to the folder where the business data lives. Before writing the instructions, we'll open a new tab and go to Google Drive. Inside Drive, create a folder named Operations. This folder is important because the agent needs a specific place to look for the files it will audit. Later, we can place the sample business sheet inside that folder so it knows exactly where the data source is. Now, we'll return to the main Super Agent's chat window and define the workflow for the Operations Agent. The full prompt is shown on screen, so you can pause and copy it here. What we're doing here is giving the agent a clear daily audit job. It needs to check the Operations folder in Google Drive, review the connected sheets for sales, conversions, pipeline updates, and project delivery status, then flag anything that drops more than 10% below target. Once it has the updates and warnings, it packages everything into an executive brief and sends it straight to Gmail. After submitting that, the agent may locate the Operations folder and then look for the sheet files inside it. If the file is not ready yet, tell the agent, I will add the sheet files later. That keeps the setup moving without forcing us to upload the data before the workflow is fully configured. This is where the agent becomes more than just a report generator. We're going to make it run on its own every weekday morning. You can see the prompt here. We're telling the agent to repeat the same operations audit every Monday through Friday at 8 o'clock a.m. Check the sheets, catch anything that needs attention, and email the finished briefing automatically. Once that is submitted, Base44 should create the recurring briefing task. To confirm it worked, we'll go to the left sidebar and click Tasks. The Daily Operations Executive Brief task should now appear there, scheduled to run every Monday through Friday at 8 o'clock a.m. Now let's test the workflow in real time. We'll go back to Google Drive and place a sample business sheet file inside the Operations folder we created earlier. After that, go to the agent and enter this prompt. I have added a sheet file to the Operations folder. Run the scheduled task now to see how it works in real time. At that point, the agent should connect to the spreadsheet, scan the available business data, compare the metrics, look for variance drops or operational issues, and package everything into a briefing. On screen, we can monitor the live run window to confirm that it is reading the file, running the logic, and preparing the update for email delivery. To check the final output, let's open Gmail in a separate tab. There should be a new message from the agent containing the operations briefing. The email should be easy to skim, with key updates, structured data tables, and highlighted warnings for any performance drops, project delays, or business areas that need attention. This is the kind of work that often gets buried into a company because it is repetitive but still important. Someone has to open the dashboards, check the sheets, calculate the differences, notice what changed, and write the morning update. The operations agent turns their routine into a scheduled system. Every weekday at 8 o'clock a.m., it can review the data and send the briefing automatically, which can save more than 5 hours of manual tracking each week. More importantly, it helps leadership catch problems earlier, before small issues turn into bigger operational delays. After everything we built so far, you might think that the biggest takeaway is learning how to create AI agents. I don't think it is. Building the agents is useful, but the real shift is much bigger than that. It comes down to learning a completely different way of thinking about work. For a while, prompt engineering sounded like the main thing everyone needed to learn. People were saving long prompt templates, memorizing special phrases, and trying to squeeze better answers out of a chat box. That made sense when the models needed more guidance, but the newer models are already much better at understanding basic instructions. For most everyday tasks, you do not need a complicated prompt formula anymore. You can say what you want in plain language, and the model usually understands the intent. The higher value skill now is system design. Now, it means knowing how to take a manual process and turn it into a workflow that can run on its own. You look at the task, identify the input, decide what steps need to happen, connect the right tools, set the rules, and define the final output. The prompt still matters, but it is only one part of the system. The real value comes from designing the whole process around an outcome. This is what separates basic AI usage from actual leverage. A normal prompt helps you complete one task in the moment. A well-built agent can keep running the same process every day, every week, or every time a trigger happens. It can check an inbox, review a spreadsheet, create a report, send a briefing, or update a content calendar, while you focus on higher level decisions. This is where builders, consultants, and business operators will have an advantage. The people who can create useful AI workers will be able to automate parts of a business without immediately adding more payroll, more tools, or more manual admin work. They are not just asking AI to help with one output. They are building digital workers that can take ownership of recurring workflows. Everything we built in this video is an example of that shift. The sales agent is not just a better email prompt. It is a lead intake system. The research agent is not just a search assistant. It is a reporting workflow. The content agent is not just a script generator. It is a production pipeline. The operations agent is not just a summarizer, it is a scheduled business briefing system. The good part is that this skill is more accessible than it used to be. You don't need to start with code, terminals, or complicated automation frameworks. You need to understand how work moves through a business. What starts the process? What information is needed? What tools should the agent use? What rules should it follow? What should the final output look like? Once you can answer those questions clearly, platforms like Base44 make it possible to build a system with natural language. That is the skill worth developing now. Not just writing better prompts, but designing AI workflows that can actually run. Right now, we do not really need to keep arguing the point. We just built 4 different agents from the same place. One handles sales leads, one handles research reports, one turns a topic into a full content package, one checks business data and sends an operations briefing. Different jobs, different workflows, same platform. So the question becomes pretty simple. Would you rather keep paying for a separate tool for every small part of your business, or use one workspace where you can build the agents you actually need? Because that is the real difference here. A single purpose tool can be helpful, but it only does what it was built to do. Once your workflow changes, you either have to work around it, wait for the company to add a feature, or buy another subscription. A custom agent gives you more room to adjust. If your sales process changes, update the sales agent. If you want a different report format, update the research agent. If the operations briefing needs to track a new metric, add it to the instructions. That is the part most people miss. The value is not just having an AI agent, the value is being able to build and change the system yourself as your business changes. So if you want to start, go to app.base44.com, open your workspace, and collect the tools you already use. Start with one workflow that wastes the most time right now. Build the agent around that. Test it, improve it, and then move on to the next one. That is how you stop collecting random AI tools and start building something that actually fits the way you work. Alright, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.